Hey Nick, we need a tagline for the podcast.
No.
Real life opinions. Movie reviews told by fans and not critics.
Welcome to Real Life Opinions, episode 4. I'm Corey.
I'm Jeff.
Well, let's get this out of the way with.
Yeah, this is the one we've all been looking forward to.
Yeah. Love to hate? I don't know. We are doing Indiana Jones episode 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And now that half of our listeners are probably logged off, we'll just so.
Yeah, we don't have any listeners, Corey.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I think we have 2, so that's 1. Yay!
Yeah, we have one listener left. It's like, click, change the channel.
Yeah, it's probably me too. Anyway.
So, this is the much-maligned Kingdom of the Crystal Skull we're doing. How was your rewatch, Corey? I remember distinctly one time you were telling me, you have to give that movie a second chance. And, I feel like that was not a well-aged comment on your part.
Didn't age well. I remember it being... I knew it was outlandish. I did. But I remember it being not as bad as everyone said. And then I rewatched it today. And it at its core, it is still very much an Indiana Jones movie. It's still as fun as an Indiana Jones movie, but that's not what made it bad.
I think the problem is, Corey, that we just rewatched the first 3.
Yeah, 3 greatest in the series, right? So.
Yes. And then we watched this one. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, when this one came out, it was far enough away where you kind of like forgotten what a good Indiana Jones movie was. And it's like, oh yeah, you're just excited to see Indiana Jones again. Yeah, Harrison Ford's back. Oh yeah, we got the whip, we got the hat, we got the adventure. Yeah, and then you put them back to back with the original.
I feel like this movie came out after, I don't know if it was all 3, but after for sure Phantom Menace came out. And I think George Lucas at that point had already gone senile. And that's why all the creatures, all the practical effects, everything in here was so incredibly phony and forced. Like, between shots of gophers, like 3 separate times in the movies that are completely unnecessary.
Or the monkeys.
The monkeys was huge. Like, it's like he threw in characters, and I use that term very loosely. He threw in these side things just for the sake of throwing them in, and that's kind of how he redid the original trilogy and everything. He just... hey, look at me, I can create things. It doesn't have to do with anything, but I can do it.
At least there's no Jar Jar Binks in this, right? Like, Shia LaBeouf's...
I was going to say Shia LaBeouf's the Jar Jar Binks of this movie.
So, I got to talk about the opening, Corey. The first 3 openings are probably 3 of the greatest action sequences in any movie of all time. Like, the iconic temple ball rolling in the first one.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The espionage spy in Temple of Doom, loved it, right?
It was a lot of fun.
Even the young kid, arguably, Last Crusade is probably the weakest of all the opening ones, and yet it was still so much fun to watch Indy, do his first adventure.
Yeah, it's kind of like an origin story, and you can't go wrong with an origin story, I find. I mean, I've seen some terrible movies that had amazing origin stories, so...
And did you know that they had a young Indiana Jones TV show?
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever I was thinking about it after we watched the Temple or Last Crusade, about how ill-fated that show ended up being. It's like, this actually must have been a fun premise, and you can't find the DVDs anywhere, right? You can't find it online. You can't find it on Disney Plus. And I don't know why.
What was huge is in Last Crusade, young Indiana Jones was played by River Phoenix, who, if you don't know who River Phoenix is, look him up. He's got a great story to tell, an unfortunate tragic ending, but Stand By Me, all sorts of great stuff he was in back in the day. So
yeah, it's very unfortunate. So this one, in comparison, it stinks. This opening sequence is terrible. And it's easy to crap on the refrigerator atom bomb thing, but that's not even it.
I was going to say, that was probably the best part of the intro.
It was one of the best parts, right? We didn't need to see the warehouse from the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know they love doing like little origin nods, and surprisingly in this movie, I didn't notice it the first couple times because there was just visceral hate for this movie. But there's actually a bunch of fun little nods to other Indiana Jones movies that I actually really appreciated later. But this opening sequence, it's rubbish. The fight with the Russians is terrible. The hyper speed train, whatever the hell that was, what the hell was that? Like,
those Russians.
You're just gonna go on a rocket rail in the middle of the night. You came in during the day. Like, so how did they go from middle of the day attacking the base? They have this fight. After like 20 minutes, they find the alien. Spoiler alert, there's aliens in this movie.
Now nobody's doing this for sure. We lost that last viewer.
And then the middle of the night, they go through this freaking speed rail thing. And then it's daytime when the atom bomb goes off. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. And not like an Indiana Jones movie needs to make sense, but flaming hearts.
Look, go for again.
Ancient knights. But like...
And Indiana Jones never got cancer.
Yeah, he never got cancer. Well, we don't know that. Maybe we'll find out in Dial of Destiny that
but he's like 80 at this point. He lived.
Yeah, I had radiation poisoning. That's why I need the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, it was funny with the whole raid on Area 51 thing, because there was 6 guards at the front, and they took them out with their AK-47s.
Barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, it's right? Like, this is Area 51. These guys got it.
The most heavily guarded government base in all of America. A couple of Russians take them out. No big deal, right? What I did like, though, I really liked the college scenes. Did you like the college scenes?
I've always liked every movie. I've liked the college scenes.
But as much as the college scenes are really good and everything like that, everybody watches these for the action, right?
Of course, they are action movies. Well, most of them are action movies.
Yeah. So did you notice that Shia LaBeouf's called Mutt and Indiana Jones is named after the dog?
Yeah.
I totally did not realize that till this time.
I never... No, I guess I should say, obviously I noticed it, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together now, so...
I literally just did it this watch through. What did you think of the introduction of him? Yeah, that's how I felt too. Like,
honestly, he's never been a standout actor. Everyone talks about, he was great in Holes and he was great in all this stuff. I've never been his biggest fan, so...
I did not get onto the Shia LaBeouf bus until Peanut Butter Falcon, and he is actually really good in that movie. And they have a Down syndrome actor in that movie, and he befriended the Down syndrome actor in real life. So, if we get the MacGuffin again here, another journal, eh?
Yeah.
They just can't get away from these journals in these
That
movies.
Was mailed to him.
Yeah, it was mailed to him. Yeah.
Where do they find a post office from where they send these things?
Yeah, I'm in an ancient ruined temple in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
Look, there's a mailbox right over here, right?
Man, UPS does go everywhere.
I did really like Indy reuniting with Marion.
Oh God, yeah. And it's a little laughable at parts because she starts out hating him, and just some of the things she lips off to him with are absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
But then, 2 seconds later, when he makes the comment that I could have had all these women, but there was one problem. What's that? They weren't you. And all of a sudden, she has the smile on her face, and she's immediately fallen in love with him again. I'm like, well, that didn't take long.
Still the biggest smile in Hollywood, right? I love Indy's look on his face. The Marion, he's like, we did that cool thing.
Yeah, he basically got the face that all the watchers had when they saw her. They're like, hey!
And then right past them to her son, right?
Yeah.
Like, as it should be. As it should be. I really enjoyed, of course you got to do the mind control thing, right?
Yeah, I had no problems with the ending in a lot of ways, but I think the mind control thing, anything, even at the introduction of Kate Blanchett's character there, she talks about how she wants to learn psychic warfare.
Yeah,
basically.
that's.
I think that's one facet of this movie that could have easily been cut and avoided and thrown in the garbage.
There's no reason for her to be there with the skull. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna control you,
Or
Indy.
she tried to read his mind.
Yeah,
I'm
like
stop.
I get it was a '50s thing, but my God. Finally, someone in the movies is just like, quicksand is rubbish.
Yeah.
And it only took Indiana Jones to be like, no, quicksand's not it. This is dry sand.
Yeah. And so as they're like drowning in it, for lack of better words, he starts teaching. No, he starts teaching Shia LaBeouf. He's like, well, actually, quicksand is made of what? And Mary's just like, would you stop teaching and help us?
Probably one of my favorite scenes of this movie.
Probably the funniest scene in the movie in that like 2 second span. So
there's really good heart between Indiana Jones and Marion, like oh yeah, lay off the kid about the school.
And then it's like, it's my kid. Why did you go back to school?
Yeah, why did you let him drop out? Like, no, it's such a dad thing to do, right? Like,
totally, right? Like, you don't care about how other people raise their kids.
No.
But the second it's your kid and it goes against your standards, there's problems.
Of course, we finally get the snake again, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Throw me a rope.
Yeah.
Throw him a snake. This isn't a rope.
What does he say? Like,
this isn't a Sears and Roebuck.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the jungle.
And so he's like, just tell me it's a rope. And so right at the exact same time, Shia and Marion are both like, it's a rope. And so he closes his eyes, grabs it. And it's funny because I'm watching that scene and they're pulling on that snake. I'm like, I'm no doctor or veterinarian. Wouldn't a snake rip in half?
Yeah, I don't think it's got the strength to pull a full-grown man out of dry sand.
Yeah.
Not quicksand, dry sand. They had nothing to worry about if those air bubbles wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, right. Seriously. I like it afterwards. That's right around the time the bad guys catch up to him for like the upteenth time. And
the failed runaway attempt, right?
Yeah. But how the bad guys all kind of stand in that same area where the sand was, and then the scene just ends. And I'm like, I feel at least one of them should have sank.
Well, yeah, right? Like, how come you guys get to float on top of the dry sand, right? So, they get a journal? They got to find another tomb again here?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, we're just going to do what we did in Last Crusade, right?
I've seen this story before.
Yeah. Only it was done well.
And the worst part is that this is solely Lucas and Spielberg. So you can't say, somebody took their work and crapped all over it. No, this was them.
Yeah.
And John Williams himself still did the score for it. It wasn't rehashed audio. He did the score for this movie.
Yeah, there were nuggets. Like, you could tell that Spielberg had his hands on this. I wish this movie would have been made in 96. This movie would have been made in 96. This would have been a terrific movie. Like, there was an over-reliance of CGI in this movie.
Yes.
There was a bad youth actor. Like, Indiana Jones is too old in this movie.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. So, if he would have been about 10 years younger, like late 50s, I think this would have worked. He's older than his dad in Last Crusade in this movie.
That's scary.
I like the Oxley character, though.
Yeah. Well, that was John Hurt, and
I did enjoy some of the scenes, as much as we've crapped on Shia LaBeouf. Some of the stuff with him and Indiana Jones interacting together, I actually do appreciate. I do like how they gave some of the action to a younger actor in this movie.
Well, I think the reason is they really did plan on spinning off with Shia, and then they realized no.
Yeah. He was the wrong actor for this choice.
Yeah.
He was like...
And so if you notice with Dial of Destiny, they removed the son character, spoiler, and they introduced the goddaughter character.
Maybe Mutt's gonna make a cameo, right?
Maybe.
So do you think they were just running out of ideas in this one, where they were just like, we've done rats, we've done bugs, we've done snakes. Scorpions aren't really bugs, are they?
They're like in the family of like insects and arachnids together.
Yeah,
so.
but the Spielberg and Lucas, they're just kind of like, yeah, they're not really.
Well, what
bugs.
I don't get is in the part in this movie here, so Shia gets stung by one, and he's like, "Oh, one bit me," and Indiana Jones goes, "Was it huge?" And he's like, "Oh, it was massive," and because that's what guys say to be tough, right? He's like, "Oh, don't worry. The bigger they are, the less they're concerned. If they're smaller, let me know." And I'm like thinking, okay, it was smaller. It was just him being funny. And he just kept going. Scorpions kill you, for fuck's sakes.
I really appreciate the interaction with these two by themselves. I actually really appreciate, right? We're in a crypt scene right now, right?
Yeah. Well, Shia is not a bad actor by any means. He's just, like I said, not one of my favorites. But
yeah, he's a bad actor. You can say you're allowed to say he's a bad actor. I
wouldn't say he's bad. He's just not good.
He's a bad actor that has the odd good performance.
Okay. But I think what it is that he had the ball and he's running with it, but it's what Harrison Ford does to return the favor. Like, yes, they play off each other, but it's more Harrison playing off of Shia than it is Shia playing off of Harrison.
They could have had a potato in that role, right?
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford would have made it work. I just appreciate how they didn't give all the action to Harrison.
Yeah.
Which is the right call.
Well, especially when he's supposed to be in his late 60s. So.
I hate it when they get captured in the jungle.
I'll say which time.
Well, wait, like the first capture is okay. The recapture, and they do like the big jungle. I'm thinking the whole entire time the big jungle car chase. Yeah. I was like, man, like you've already done this. You did it in Last Crusade, right?
Yes.
And you did it good. You did it with that tank in the desert. It was freaking amazing. Why is this such a steaming pile of shit?
Well, I mean,
they CGI'd the crap out of it. That's the problem.
In a world where we're digging to find positives, that, in my opinion, is one of the few positives of this movie. It was
really
John Williams' score mixed with a car chase. It didn't matter how bad everything was. It had you at the edge of your seat just because of Williams, I think. It wasn't the movie, it was Williams.
You know, that's why I say if it had been shot 10 years earlier, 12 years earlier, it would have been amazing. Because, like, everything about that sequence was actually amazing. Except for the way it was shot and produced and, like, the special effects in it. Like, you know, the fights, the char case was actually really exciting. Well, and then they got to go over a waterfall to we're doing the raft all over again, right?
Which is funny is fall to the earth 3 times. What does that mean? Points to the waterfall, 1. And it's like, they're like, oh God, 2, they go down. And then 3 is the biggest waterfall. They fall off the raft, bodies everywhere. But don't worry, they survive.
Yeah, I know. Of course they survive.
There's like
Marion's
sharp rocks at the bottom of
the
everything.
wheel.
Yeah, just like rocking.
Did you like the temple at the end itself?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. And that's where everybody's hate came, right? Was the end there, but
see, that is not my hate. Like the ants, the monkeys, like Shia LaBeouf swinging with the monkeys looked terrible.
You know what I am sorely reminded of when I think of all that, the monkeys, the ants, etc., is I think of Jumanji. Great movie, great action, but Jesus Christ, spend $1 more on special effects.
Boy, the difference is Jumanji came out in what, 94?
Something like that, yeah.
Like CGI was very much in its infancy in 94. Like, you sure Jurassic Park and Terminator had come out?
Well, there was a lot of money in those movies, though. Like, they did not have the budget in Jumanji that they did in Jurassic Park and Terminator 2.
No.
So.
Like, you know, yeah, Jumanji worked because of Robin Williams. That's why Jumanji worked. Without Robin Williams, that movie would not have been the hit it was.
Totally.
What's their excuse for this one?
Yeah, like I said, directed by and written by two of the greatest in Hollywood, one would argue, and they turned it into a child's playground.
And we were talking earlier about how, like, aside, like, James Cameron, Spielberg, and George Lucas have all at some point or another held the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you if you figure for inflation, Star Wars is probably still the highest grossing movie of all time. If you figure for inflation.
It have to be up.
All of these movies, if you figure for inflation, have all hit the billion mark.
Well, for sure. Like, the lowest grossing Indiana Jones film did $330 million back then.
Yeah,
So-
back then, that was like a huge blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's movies today that would still be like, yeah, 330 million. Like, obviously not
The
the
Flash
big-
hasn't even made 330 million.
Yeah, right?
And it's 2 weeks in.
The Flash is going to be a big disaster for DC.
I've never used the word flop a lot, because there's sometimes redeeming things about a movie. And then sometimes if you really want to get picky, take out the marketing and everything, because that's a lot right there. And so it's like just pure budget versus movie. But that movie flopped.
Yeah. It was not what it should have been. You know what? A lesser thing that's forgotten about with this one, I do like the dynamic. I think I've spoken earlier how I wish they would have brought some of the other former Indiana Jones characters back instead of introducing like Oxley, even though I like that character, or Mac. Like I feel like that should have been existing characters in this world already. But I do really like how, Alfred Molina, he betrayed Indy in the first one right off the bat. We never see him ever again, right?
Well, he didn't get killed.
Well, yes. But besides the point, so he's gone, and that was the last time we really seen, like, well, I guess he got turncoated in Last Crusade, but that was completely different. Like, this was like a past associate,
a long time associate who turned on him. So,
and I like how he stayed in the movie instead of like Alfred Molina, dead, gone. Right? He's all throughout the movie.
He's right there till the bitter end. So.
Yeah, he's even got a nice moment at the end, right?
Yeah, for
Like,
a second. And
a second. And then he gets his comeuppance.
Speaking of carrying the movie, though, like, obviously Harrison Ford, but no surprise, like, award-winning actress Kate Blanchett is, her accent's funny. I don't know any Russians to know if that's a real accent or not, but not real, but like legit sounding accent. But she honestly was pretty incredible, if not over the top.
We find ourselves disagreeing a lot on this movie, which is rare because normally we really agree. She is one of my least favorite parts of this movie. I keep being like, everyone tells me, oh, it's Kate Blanchett, you gotta love her, she's an Academy Award winner. Like, I think she's terrible in this movie. Like, I get it, she's trying to chew the scenery, right? Like,
well, again, let's not forget she's reading George Lucas's script.
Well, that is fair, but like, I think she gives, except for Shia LaBeouf, I feel like she gives the worst performance in here. But I guess for what she's dealing with, you're right. She is very over the top, and she's not the only one way over the top in this movie. Like, the John Hurt's like super over the top too.
I was gonna say, not John Hurt being the exception to the rule, but in every Indiana Jones movie, the villain has been over the top.
Yeah, but she just doesn't do it for me. Maybe it's like the Eastern European accent, because I didn't like Schneider, Alsace in Last Crusade either, right? Like, maybe it's just women with Eastern European accents don't do it for me.
That's racist.
The temple scene worked for you. It worked for me too. The divisive parts at the end of the temple, right? Like, I love a good Indiana Jones. We're going through the booby traps, right?
Oh yeah, no, that was fun. This movie definitely got better as it went on. Like, luckily it started with that warehouse scene, which was pretty awful.
Yeah.
And but honestly, as the movie progressed, it got better, and then it jumped the shark for the last act of the movie. So
It really did, like, uh, it should have been more ambiguous. I feel like I don't like how the alien came to life, and then the flying saucer flew off. Like, I don't know. Spoiler for the ending of the movie if you haven't seen this. Final thoughts, Corey?
well, like I said with the other movies, especially with the last one, something's got to finish first, something's got to finish last. It tried, but it's like Spielberg and Lucas got high one day and decided to make a movie, and that's what this is.
I feel like there were elements that there was a good movie in here somewhere, and like I don't know what happened to it. Like the car chase scene could have been amazing. The aliens, if done right, could have been okay. I really liked the double agent thing. That was not really a double agent or a triple agent, but he was just lying about it.
Yeah.
I love that line. Like, oh, I thought you said you were a double agent. Are you a triple agent? No, I was just lying.
Yeah.
You know, some of that stuff was great. Wrong actor to take over the mantle, right?
Yeah. Like they tried so hard, and I remember when this movie came out, how much they talked about that. They wanted to spin off this series because they knew Harrison Ford. Like, they said this was going to be Harrison Ford's last movie, and they wanted to spin off.
They literally called the third one The Last Crusade, though.
Yeah.
Like, how... Like, that one obviously was meant to be the last
Yeah.
one, too. Right? And then they just keep making them.
See, it's funny because I think this one was made for nostalgia's sake. So again, not a lot of thought and effort and money gone into it, but
there
what's
was
called?
money put into this.
No. Not in the right spots.
Not in the right spot.
But then now we've got Dial of Destiny coming out on the weekend.
Wow, I wonder if that was only made for nostalgia
Yeah.
and cash and money.
But I feel, and honestly, I don't, when we do the review for that next week, I don't want to spoil that one. We're going to try and not talk about the end too much because I feel they're going to kill off the character.
I don't know how we can we do a non-spoiler review?
Well, we can do spoilers of other major plot points, but if he dies at the end, we don't say a word until the end.
Okay. I feel like we're giving away a spoiler, even though we've never seen.
No, we have no clue. This is completely speculative. That was a big word.
Speculative. So, are we at the point where we can rate these yet, or do we want to wait till Dial of Destiny?
Well, we can rate them out of the 4 movies that exist, because Dial of Destiny doesn't come out until this Friday, and today's a Monday in our land. So,
how many Indiana Jones out of 4 Indiana Jones is this one?
1 being worse and 4 being best. So
yes,
that's a solid one.
This is a solid one.
2 would be Temple. Has to be. I mean, I hate to say it, it's got its good moments, but
you know, I want to disagree with you, but I really can't.
Well, I mean, I put it in my head. The matrix in my head is it better than Last Crusade? No. Is it better than Raiders of the Lost Ark? No. So it has to finish 2.
In my mind, Temple of Doom's got the most cohesive story out of any of them, and the best villain. Having the best villain is like, name the non-descriptive German. Oh, this one's got Kate Blanchett. Oh, well, but can you remember the other Germans from the other ones? They're all Nazis.
I can honestly not tell you the name of the main bad guys in the first 2 movies, or the first and third movie. Sorry.
Yeah, but
yeah,
Mala Realm pulls that fucking heart out of your chest.
Yeah,
like I will. It's hard to disagree with it being 2 out of 4.
But again, like I said, something's got to finish first, something's got to finish last.
Yeah.
So,
but There's an argument, I feel, for it to be higher ranking, but I will agree with that ranking on this one. Now's the tough one.
This is the tough, because number one is the greatest because of it's classic. It's beautiful. It started it all. It got us hooked onto Indiana Jones. However,
it's got the best female lead.
Yes.
It doesn't have the best story. Like I think the Ark of the Covenant is one of the weaker Indiana Jones stories, to be honest. But it's got some of the most. It's iconic. The memorable scenes, they're literally iconic,
totally.
Right?
Like between the gun and the sword fight, between the ending, yeah, totally. Reason I would pick Last Crusade to be my favorite. I guess I would immediately then put the other one in third, but I would put Last Crusade as my favorite simply because it is the most entertaining movie of the franchise.
So Raiders is 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones,
yeah, and Last Crusade would be 4 out of 4. So
one thing I discovered while we were reviewing Crusaders, there is a lot of cliches in Last Crusade.
Yeah, there is.
Like, I was like, it kind of took away from it. I was just like, oh yeah, there's a cliche. Oh yeah, there's a cliche. Well, there's another cliche.
It kind of also had the Forrest Gumpism to it, where it's like they were part of a major thing in history, and but yet they really weren't. So,
and that was
like the Zeppelin. That was the big one. So.
That was a part of the reason I didn't like this one, because of the 50s. Like, oh, the atom bomb and Area 51.
This movie was so incredibly two-dimensional for its characters, with the exception of the Marion Indy dynamic.
But that's just good. Such good chemistry, those two.
Yeah, I honestly would believe that Karen Allen and Harrison Ford would have got married in real life.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Hey, and by the way, for her age, she looks amazing in this.
Absolutely.
Did not need the wedding at the end.
No.
But, she looks amazing in this. So, I can't argue with you about Temple being, or Raiders being 3 out of 4, and Last Crusade being 4 out of 4. I guess
that's a confusing rating system. I think number 1 should be the best, and number 4 should be the worst. So,
well, okay, we'll work on our rating system for the next time we rate.
We'll quickly re-say it. So, number 1, best overall, Last Crusade. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 3, Temple of Doom. Number 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I'm hitching my wagon to this confusing thing that we had before. I'm still saying 1 out of 4 is the worst.
But that being implied, if that's a star rating, then there could be multiple 1 out of 4s. There could be multiple 2 out of 4s. So,
oh, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I could give 4 out of 4 to Temple, Raiders, and Indy, or Last Crusade,
But
then that's not really ranking them.
That's not ranking the movies. That's ranking each movie. If that makes sense.
We're working on our star rating. People.
Bear with us. Be happy that we've only made this one half an hour long, okay? We've bored you to tears. Okay, 40 minutes.
We're going to be a little...
All right, 40 minutes.
We're trying, people.
It's better than the hour, damn it.
Okay, signing off.
Signing off. Jeff, thanks for everything.
I'll catch you next week when we watch Dial of Destiny.
Good. That one might even be out earlier next week. We'll see.
Oh, let's hope so. Maybe we can get these things out before Monday, right?
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Keep your stick on the ice. Is that it?